Hi guys! Today I'm making a Draculaura cake from Monster High. We really get a kick out of making these doll cakes and you guys have been requesting to see a Monster High tutorial. So with Halloween around the corner, we thought this would be the perfect time to make this awesome cake. So first off, the girls and I went shopping and got ourselves our very own Draculaura to make this cake. And I've also baked 3 round cakes. I have a 6-inch, a 7-inch and an 8-inch, all cut to just over 2 inches high. Now I'm working with chocolate ganache for this because it's nice and stable and we're going to be doing a little bit of carving, but feel free to use buttercream if you like the taste of that as well. Now before we apply our next layer, we want to go ahead and just figure out where we want her to be. She isn't very tall, so we don't need to worry about going all the way through this. We just want to get a little bit of it out. So using a cookie cutter and a steak knife, we're just going to remove some, and we want to do the same with our other cakes. And then add your next layer, making sure that the hole goes all the way through. Add some more filling. Push that down. Now the first thing I want to do is just curve this front just a little bit. So I'm just going to shave off the very edge and then just make it nice and flat. Now we want to work on the back, and I want to take a fairly big chunk and I'm going to start using that to build up the back section. So I'm just going to use a little bit of ganache to help it stick and place that down. Same with here. Now working on the sides, just want to taper them down, coming a little bit more than 50% of the way around to the back. And then we can work on tapering the back. And don't worry if it's not looking flawless, because the ganache will help to shape it as well. Just make sure there's no really big high bits of cake. And then taking ganache that's quite runny, we're going to go and fill that back section in. And then just keep making your way around the cake. And you want the front to be nice and smooth so that we can have our fondant go over the top, because there's no ruffles in that section. And now it's time to pop this into the fridge for about 15 minutes. So now that it's set, I want to go ahead and shave down the cake plate to just be right where the cake is. So I'm using a craft knife and I'm just scoring it. Now I'm going to take a little bit of ganache, smear it onto my cake board. Just got a 10-inch round in a black because I think it'll be perfect for Draculaura, and pop her down. So now it's time to start working on the dress. So I've got her out of her costume and I'm going to start working on the bodice for her first. I've got some colours made up in fondant. I have just a white, a black, and I've gone for 3 different shades of pink. When it comes to the back of the dress, we're going to be using all of those colours, but right now we're just going to be working with the darkest shade of pink. So I'm just going to knead this a little bit in my hands. I also have a blue floral mat to rest her on, a rolling pin, a craft knife, a pizza cutter, as well as some water and a paintbrush. So I'm going to start by rolling this out a little. I'm going to take some corn flour so it doesn't stick to my surface and just roll it out. Even though she's only skinny, we're going to make it really long. I'm going to take a pizza cutter and just cut it into a long strip, about 1/2 inch wide. Keeping her arms and hair out of the way, I'm just going to apply a little bit of water to the center of this piece. Then I'm going to start by resting it over the top. And the water is not there to stick to her, it's just to stick to the fondant. So you want to make sure you do a full lap around so that it really joins before making your way down. Now all I'm going to do is cinch the very, very bottom with my fingers. Now there's 2 stages to the black. We're going to do the first bit now, and the second bit we're going to apply when it's on the cake and fully attached. For now we're going to start with the main part, which is just covering the back of her. Again, apply some corn flour so it doesn't stick. Okay, now it's only going to be about 1 inch. I'm going to go a little bit higher just in case. Thread it underneath her. You can see that that's coming up and around nicely. So now what we can do is add a little bit of water to the black and just come up and around. Now we're going to allow her to dry like this while we work on the rest of the cake. So the first thing I'm going to work on is the front, where I'm going to have the black and white stripes. I'm going to apply a little bit of sugar syrup just to the front section, and that helps it stick to the ganache. Now taking some white fondant, I'm going to roll it out with some corn flour. Now for this cake, I want it to be about 20 centimetres or 8 inches. And then I'm going to make it about 4 inches across or 10 centimetres. Once you've cut it, you want to taper it up into the middle and then attach it to the front of the cake. Just rest it on the bottom and smooth upwards. Now taking your X-Acto knife, just trim it up at the top and press it into that hole. Now I'm going to roll out some stripes in our black. Now there's lots of different patterns in Monster High Creations, so you can feel free to do a harlequin pattern or stripes or little skulls or even some ruffles. Then taking a pastry cutter, starting just off the edge so that it doesn't roll up on you, you want to cut out some stripes. And then just apply a little bit of water or sugar glue. And don't worry that it's not perfectly lined up because we're having ruffles going around them. And now it's time to start working on the best part, which is all of those beautiful pink ruffles. So starting with our darkest colour again, I'm going to roll out and cut out some long strips, again using our pastry cutter. We just need 2 of them. Now I've made these ones a little bit thicker than the rest of them because we want to add a really gorgeous impression to it. So I'm taking a lace mat, and what I want to do is place the strips over the top of it and press them in. You can see it gets a gorgeous texture and pattern to the fondant. Now taking our blue mat and a ball tool, we want to go ahead and just soften the edge and give it a nice ruffle. Just drag it across, and you want to make sure that the ball tool is halfway on the blue mat and halfway on your fondant. And then do that to your other piece. And now we're going to attach these to the cake. You want to have some overlap, so you're going to press it up. And then taking your craft knife, you're just going to trim it up at the end. And then I'm going to keep taking different shades of our pink, rolling them out and cutting them into the same strips. This time we want to go a fair bit thinner, and that will really help us to get a great ruffle going. Now we're not going to add any texture to these ones, we're just going to get as much ruffle as we can. So remember, halfway on and halfway off the blue pad, and just using a nice flicking motion. You want to overlap it a fair way and just come over, giving it a trim at the top. Sometimes working on 2 of the same colour and sometimes just 1, so that you get lots of variety and so that there's really no pattern. Up and over. And sometimes cutting them away a bit early so that they don't get too bulky. And you can add a touch of sugar glue or water to attach the fondant to itself. Add some sugar syrup to the rest of the cake. Just keep cutting back the excess straight down the middle. Now on our final piece, we're going to go ahead and soften both sides. Now I've had all these bits ending, now it's time to cover those all up. So we're going to pick up this last piece and drape it all the way up to the top. Pushing it into there. If you just pry it back a little bit, you can attach it with some sugar glue or water. Now I'm taking my black fondant and I have a cute little bow mold, and I'm just going to be using the very smallest one. You want to press it in, drag away the excess, bend and flick it out. And you can pop those on to give a little bit of detail. Okay, so now it's time to pop Draculaura in. Okay, now we can add the final touches of black. So now I'm going to roll out some black. Using a pizza cutter, I'm just going to slice it and make a nice semicircle. Now taking our semicircle, I'm going to drape it behind her, place it around and then fan it out, almost like a Dracula collar. Coming around and pulling it down. Then I'm going to roll a very small sausage of the black just in the palm of my hand and drape it over her dress to be a really nice border. And then do the same for the other side. And there you are, guys. We have our Draculaura all ready for Halloween celebrations here. We wanted to go for something really kind of cool, but also pretty and not so scary this year. So I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial and happy Halloween.